It has been a little short of a decade since we've last caught up with Travis Touchdown, and close to 12 years since we've seen video game auteur Suda51 take the directorial seat. So given the statistics, there's no better time than now to signify the return of both Travis and Suda in their respective fields on an entirely new generation of consoles. The end result? Travis strikes again, no more heroes. Travis Strikes Again chronicles the misadventures of Travis Touchdown several years after the events of No More Heroes 2, as he lives in isolation at a trailer site. Seemingly putting the misgivings of the UAA behind him, there are other individuals who aren't quite ready to settle down like him. Badman, the father of Badgirl, zeroes in on his location to kill Travis as repentance for his daughter's assassination. As they fight, the once idle Phantom game console, Death Drive Mark II, throws both Travis and Badman into its virtual world, where they are promised one wish should they work together to find and defeat every single game available on the system. What follows is a compilation of video games, each with their own unique look, sound, and flavor, though in reality they're all essentially different levels with their own silly gimmicks, where the ties that bind lie in the game's baseline hack and slash combat. From a gameplay perspective, this helps Travis Strikes Again feel quite cohesive and familiar, yet completely open to the realms of experimentation. With games like Killer 7 offering levels that have their own unique art or playstyles, Suda51 is definitely no stranger to this method of game direction, and it shows in spades. While you're hacking through enemies, you can find yourself collecting coffee and donuts, or you'll be knee-deep in a visual novel adventure, then immediately whisked away to compete in a motorcycle Grand Prix. With the odd exception of some janky platforming, Travis Strikes Again never seems to outstay its welcome and maintains a fresh, playful atmosphere. Like the previous games, combat consists of your light and heavy slashes while ensuring you keep your battery levels topped up. New additions include chips, which offer different abilities that cater to offensive, defensive, or riskier playstyles, and screen-clearing charge attacks that build up after enough hits have connected. Up to 4 abilities can be equipped at once and have varied cooldown levels depending on their power or utility. The familiar light and heavy variations translate quite well to the restricted battlefields of Travis Strikes Again. When fighting grunts, you get a good dose of pulpy power fantasy, but thanks to the enemy variation and well-placed difficulty spikes, fights can quickly become tense and overbearing as you keep another eye on your battery, your ability meters, and ensuring you're not dashing into another enemy's attack. Things only get crazier when you factor in a second player, which makes couch co-op an absolute blast to play. From an overall perspective, the visuals are pretty decent. Being developed in Unreal Engine 4, the visuals don't exactly harness the engine to the fullest, but that's considered a good thing. In exchange, there are plenty of pretty particle effects and models on screen at once, and the frame rate rarely skips a beat. Watching each game world procedurally become more unstable and glitchy as you progress is quite well done, while recreations of environments or characters you may recognize from previous Grasshopper manufactured games are sure to delight the senses. Speaking of which, be prepared to be served a healthy dose of fanservice. Much like its predecessors, Travis Strikes Again is never afraid to playfully poke fun at certain game industry practices or pop culture in general. It's also no stranger to making fun of itself. This, coupled with cameos and references to games like Killer is Dead, Diabolical Pitch, Flower, Sun and Rain, and plenty more, feels like a celebration of Grasshopper's achievements as a developer and its ongoing punk mantra, while at the same time acknowledging being influenced by new generations of indie developers. For some players, it can be considered a little self-indulgent, but thankfully not to the point of excess. If there were a few criticisms we could lay out, the first would involve its lackluster halfway point. In particular, the game Coffee and Donuts is a pretty tedious level filled with confusing backtracking and heavily reliant on barely functional platforming, which was previously noted early in the review. Another one concerns the game length. One can argue that the cooperative nature of the game affected the scope of development, designed to blow through with a friend in the space of a weekend or a week depending on how hard you work at it. While that and the budgeted price makes a lot of sense, there's very little to do aside from replaying past levels on harder difficulties, and once you've bought all the wearable indie game shirts, for best effect I highly recommend equipping the Fury shirt, there's not much else to do aside wait for the upcoming DLC. Despite those woes, Travis Strikes Again No More Heroes sports a great opening and a finishing act, and is quite a fun diversion in the No More Heroes universe. With its cheeky aesthetic and simple premise, Travis Strikes Again brings a surprisingly introspective tone and subtext to what you'd expect from a standard cooperative hack and slash. Should Suda51 and the team at Grasshopper Manufacture deem it so, we're looking forward to revisiting the streets of Santa Destroy. Though for now, Travis Strikes Again serves as a good detour. It's a fun, sensibly priced bash, but for best results, just be sure to bring your best friend, or worst enemy, along for the ride.